joining us for this panel, which is part of our Career Exploration webinar series. Today's discussion is titled Career Exploration for Girls and Women Teaching, and it focuses on the paths and experiences and perspectives of women who have professional careers as public school teachers. I'm Dr. Susan Madsen, founding director of the Utah Women in Leadership Project and the Karen Haight Huntsman Endowed Professor of Leadership in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University, and I'm the host and will be the panel moderator today. Our career exploration webinars further the mission of the Utah Women in Leadership Project, which is to strengthen the impact of Utah girls and women. First, I'd like to take a minute and just thank our sponsors. First, the Utah Education Network, UEN, the John M. Huntsman School of Business, and USU Extension. To get us started, I would like to introduce each of our three panelists, and then after I introduce each one, ask them why they chose to focus their careers on teaching, particularly in the K through 12 system. So I'm going to start today with Kellie May, who graduated from the University of Utah with a bachelor's and 2 Masters of Education degrees. This is her 28th year with the Salt Lake City School District, and she started out as a classroom teacher for 23 years. In her current role, she serves as an education specialist in human resources. In that role, that supports new educators. So Kellie was also recognized as Utah State Teacher of the Year in 2019. Congratulations. So Kellie, why did you choose to focus your career really as an educator, particularly within the K through 12 system?
Thank you for the introduction and having me here. My initial why of going into education has evolved, thankfully, because initially I chose education because I personally loved learning or love learning, and it's a profession of lifelong learners. That is one reason. The other reason is that I thought it would be a great career to have both a family and a full-time career. I felt like it would be a good work-life balance for me.
Next, I would like to introduce Elise Maxwell, who earned a Bachelor's of Science with honors in elementary education from the University of Utah in 2014. A few years ago, Elise then returned to the University of Utah and finished her master's degree in reading and literacy. She has been teaching for 9 years, and currently she teaches 3rd grade in Salt Lake City School District at Bonneville Elementary. So Elise, why did you choose to focus your career in the field of K through 12 teaching? So Elise, why did you choose to focus your career in this field?
Sure. I think a lot of teachers, it's a lifelong plan, and for me, it wasn't. I was working at a summer camp in order to pay for college. And I was realizing that the time I was spending with kids when they were exploring and learning and working together was really meaningful. That sense of growing and discovering was something I really wanted to be part of my life every day. And I've stayed in the career because I love that still sense of kids learning about themselves and the world and being able to facilitate that.
Thank you so much. And Tracy Warenski is a first-generation college graduate and received her Bachelor's of Science degree with an emphasis in elementary education from Utah Valley University. She began teaching 2nd grade at East Meadows Elementary in Spanish Fork, and she earned her Master's of Education from Southern Utah University in Cedar City, Utah. To complement her teaching degrees, Tracy has also earned math and English as a second language endorsements through her district, and she has been recognized by her school, Nebo School District, and the state for her skills and influence as a teacher. So Tracy, why did you choose to focus your career in the area of K through 12 education?
So initially starting out, I had left high school and was working in the special education department at Spanish Fork Junior High in a self-contained classroom. And when I graduated, I had started my prerequisites in nursing and social work. So a few shifts there, but through my job experience, I realized how much I enjoyed working with students, and the educators that I worked with at the time, they really encouraged me to make a shift in my education. And so some of those teachers have remained my lifelong friends. And the opportunity to work with students every day and be engaged in what's going on in their lives and their learning process is a huge blessing to me. So it's why I've stuck around for 17 years.
Thank you so much. I love that. And just to divulge to you, my first degree coming out of with my bachelor's was secondary education. So I did teach at Hillcrest Junior High in Murray for the first couple of years right out of college before I started having babies. And then we as women have career breaks, right? And then went back for a master's degree and then a doctorate and have shifted. But I tell you, those years, I loved my time being a junior high teacher, and I learned so much. Oh my gosh, just like you were saying, I think Kellie said, you just learn so much from teaching, from people around you. So I love that. Thank you to all of you for introducing yourselves. My first question is, what types of careers are available in teaching? And this is an interesting question because we have done engineering and we've done all these banking things where you can go like do so many things in careers. K through 12 seems a little more, when you decide to go into that, you really become a teacher for the most part. Especially, and that's what we're going to talk about today, but then you can move on to other careers. So I would love to hear some of your comments about that. Elise, let's start with you on this one.
Sure. I think most of the people I know did start as a classroom teacher, and I think it's really invaluable experience if you are going to move into another educational position to understand the dynamic and the demands of being a teacher. From there, you can go to being an educational coach, working with teachers to help them with their practices, or you can be an interventionist working with kids who need extra support. Those positions were a reason I went back to get my master's degree, was to be able to move into those positions at some point.
Thank you. And of course, teaching, there's kindergarten to sixth grade, there's junior high, there's high school, there's various kinds. Kellie, comments from you, and then we'll move over to Tracy.
Yes, actually, Susan, segueing from what you just said, within education, there are opportunities to earn different endorsements and teach different grade levels. So I've taught 13 of my years were in middle school, 7 were in high school, and then I did 3 years of preschool special education. So I was in an elementary school. So I think that's important to know. I think also there are many opportunities to be a teacher leader within your school, on school committees. And I was an avid coordinator when I was at West High School. So opportunities such as that. And then, as Elise mentioned, the instructional coaches, we also have data coaches, we have MTSS behavior coaches, and then from there, a lot of educators also consider administration.
I love that. That's more than I was thinking initially. So you've really opened my eyes to a few more of those opportunities. Tracy, any comments from you?
Yeah, I had thought with extra schooling, there's area or endorsements, there's areas within our district that actually at the district office area that you can continue to perform different jobs within. So anyway, but all of those things. The other thing I thought of was a clinical faculty associate that works alongside the colleges. And in our district, it's BYU. And so anyway, I just thought of that too.
That's great. I think there's just opportunities to do different things. And as Kellie was talking, and as I, got my degree, I really didn't connect with elementary school students. So we each probably, I tried for a little bit because my father wanted me to, but it lasted 3 weeks. And then I'm like, give me junior high, give me high school, that. So that really, I'm sure for each of you, certain ages were more interesting or more exciting, or I don't know. Any quick thoughts on that from maybe one of you?
I'll go. I actually started as a secondary education major. I thought I wanted to go teach high school. And it might be that I was just out of high school myself, but when I spent time there, I said, this is not for me. And then I started teaching elementary school, and I love it. They have this sense of wonder that I don't feel like can be matched. And then I teach third grade because I don't like tying shoes for kindergartners.
Oh,
There's a good age range for everyone.
I love it. And exploring that for these high school young women who are listening in, and also maybe early college, exploring kind of those ages are important. And I have to say that we really have a need for really a lot of teachers, K through 12 teachers. And so we need more people stepping forward to do that. My next question, and Tracy, I would love to have you start, what associates, bachelor's, graduate degrees are available, particularly with the role of it being a teacher that prepare you for this field? And what would you recommend?
So you can receive your Bachelor of Science or Arts with an emphasis in elementary education. And upon kind of graduates have to complete also a praxis exam to get their certification. And so if you have if you're going for your secondary education, the classes you would need to take would cater more towards the subject areas in which you're interested in. And then there's a praxis test also given to those certain content areas. I would encourage young people to get as many concurrent enrollment classes done within high school. It just can save so much money in the long run. I received my bachelor's through Utah Valley University, go Wolverines, and my master's through Southern Utah University, like you had said before, go T-Birds. But I had a principal who pushed me to get my master's, and at the time I didn't think I could do it, but it was the best move for me. So I think if you think, sometimes we inhibit ourselves to going ahead and doing it. And I think I've had a lot of support in my corner saying, go do it. But yeah, I would just say, go do it. And you can do it. So anyway.
Thank you so much. And Kellie, I'll shift over to you. And still, I've been out of my education for a lot of years, but still, if you choose to go into elementary school teaching, that really is one main degree still, right? And I'm sure you can have some emphasis. Kellie, any comments about that? And then we'll move to Elise.
Yes, that is the case. Elementary professional license, and then there's a secondary professional license with specific content endorsements attached. But elementary also has opportunities for content endorsements, and I would highly recommend looking into English as a second language as an endorsement. The reading endorsements, there's a focus on literacy instruction right now, and as always in elementary schools, I think a reading endorsement would be beneficial. And so there are math endorsements also attached to elementary. Then we have special education, and they're a K-12, and they have different emphasis on early childhood, mild, moderate, severe, hard of hearing. And so there are several ways and avenues and paths that you could take, and add-ons after you get your professional license in any area. Then adding on becomes, I wouldn't say easy, but easier.
Thank you. Elise, any final comments on that question?
Sure. I actually work with a lot of incredible educators who started their career somewhere else and then decided to go back and get a master's degree in teaching, and that was their route. I did my bachelor's right out of high school, and that was great for me. But I think there are a lot of avenues into education that wherever you are in your career journey, there are ways to become a teacher.
Thank you so much. This next one, and can a career in teaching be family friendly? And one of you said that's one of the reasons that brought you to is the thought about being family friendly. So Kellie, let's start with you, and then over to Elise, and then Tracy.
Okay, yes, it was actually me that mentioned that in my intro. And I just feel like you have a schedule that allows for you to, it coincides with your child's schedule if they're in school and when they're in school. And it's really nice to have summers off and and have the opportunities to do professional development, but not be working full time. You have breaks off throughout the school year. I have both of my sons, by the way, went to Hillcrest in Murray. So we have that connection. But my oldest, who is now 22, I once asked him, I think he was around 12 years old, and I said, you know, do you wish that I was a stay-at-home mom, that I was here with you all the time? And he looks at me and he's like, Mom, you are around enough. It feels like you can stay at home. So it is just the hours, the even with the dedication and the passion I have for it, and he also said, and you're good at what you do. So, you know, like stay in it. So I think it's very family friendly.
Great. Thank you. Elise and then Tracy.
I don't have kids at this point, but it is something that drew me to the career, that if I have kids in my own district, like our breaks are going to be together, I can get off school around the same time. It was a big factor in my decision.
Great. And I do need to clarify, the family friendly is, you know, we have elder care as people as well. And we just have some things that are not part of our job, life, hobbies, service in the community. So I think that probably applies to everyone in some way.
Sure. And I will say that a few years ago, I had a time where my mom was very sick, and I was able to work with my principal to make sure I could be there to take care of her for a little bit. And so I don't think every career offers that. And I was really lucky to be able to do that.
Thank you. Tracy.
There's just huge blessings that have come to me from my life of being an educator, and I've been able to teach all three of my boys, and so that's been awesome. They've been there at the school with me, and then I agree with Kellie. I've been able to, I mean, even though they get out a little bit before me, I'm not too far behind if I'm organized and ready for the next day, and so the holiday breaks are nice. To be off with my family and spending time with them. And even with professional development opportunities in the summer, some required, some voluntary, teachers can enjoy their time with their families in the summer too. So, yeah.
Thank you. Tracy, I'm going to stick with you on this next one. This one's kind of a blunt question, but people have this question, especially high school young women, right? And their parents, right? And that is about pay. What we hear, you know, from through the years is teaching is a lower paid position. I know it's shifted a little bit, but, you know, but it's important for us to know kind of the range, and can we support a family? Can we support ourselves? Those kinds of things. So what would be, and if it's still like when I was a teacher, there was like a pay, how many years you got a little more pay, you got more education, you got more pay. But what, Tracy, what is kind of what is your thought on kind of the beginning range right now? If you know that, maybe if you don't know that, the other two might, and kind of the range of what you would make as a K through 12 teacher with that 10-month contract, right? Is it about 10-month contract, right?
Yeah. I looked that up on our district's website, and in each district, it's a little different, but 55,000, possibly 60, starting out. There's signing bonuses that happen, and benefits are big. So that's something that's negotiated through our district, and to keep those low, there's different things that we do to continue to have that low premium. But anyway, that's kind of what and then it can quickly increase. So as you add endorsements, as you add a master's degree, that bumps up that pay each time. And then when I looked kind of near the end, if you had a doctorate, it was close to 100,000. So, and that wasn't on the administrative scale. So that was the teaching salary scale. So.
Great, thank you. Kellie, and then Elise, any other comments about that? So Tracy mentioned with the endorsements, even an endorsement that might bump pay a little bit, right?
Right, and so it's based on credit hours, and if your endorsement requires 5 courses, let's say, or 6 courses, and then it gets you to the next, depending on the district, it for our district, it's plus 20, plus 40, masters plus 20, plus 40, and so that helps. And I'm so glad that you asked this question, because you hit on that narrative of low pay, this is a tough job. And the narrative that goes out is not very inviting to the profession. And I just think, yes, it is challenging. It is a tough job, but I honestly feel like it is the most rewarding job that you could do. To work with these young people is incredible. And as far as pay, Tracy hit the range of the starting. And when you consider in our district that you're working 185 days a year, a salary of 55,000 on upwards to, if you have a master's plus 40 and you're over 13 years in the district, you're making around $100,000 a year. So I want to emphasize that that's about 60 something dollars an hour. You're starting at 40 something dollars an hour. And so I really hope that that's not a deterrent and that there isn't an assumption that it's poor pay. Could it be better? Always. Yeah. But it's not as bad as it's made out to be, in my opinion.
Well, and Kellie, to add to that, there's different training opportunities that you can be involved in that also can bump that pay. And so our letters training for the last 2 years, that's some invaluable professional development that we've received, and we'll get paid a stipend for that. So being able to be involved in different forms of professional development can also add to that base salary. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And before I turn it over to Elise, those who are listening in today, please feel free to put questions in the chat through Zoom. And in just a minute, I'll start asking from some of those questions that are put in the chat. So Elise, any final comments on that question?
Sure. One other opportunity that made a difference in my salary was becoming national board certified. And most districts do have a benefit for that. And I do think it is a really worthwhile endeavor. But I mean, as time goes on, those contracts are renegotiated by our union every year. And so if you are wondering what your pay would be, it is public information. It is posted on every district HR website. So I would encourage people to do that research to understand salary, benefits, and all of that information before they start looking at a job.
Great. Thank you for answering those questions. I have one more, but I'm going to wait and give that one right at the end. But we have a few questions that have been asked in our Q&A here on Zoom. And one of them is, if people want to earn a little bit more during the summer, they don't want necessarily or don't need to take that time off or even want some part-time, are there opportunities that you can pick up to work during the summer? And so I'm going to give a number of questions. Would like one person to grab that one, and then I'll give someone else a different one. Who would like to respond to that one?
I can do that one. Okay. I did professional development presenting in our with our summer math framework, and so that was a way to earn a little extra money in the summer. And then, like I said before, being involved in professional development, there's also sometimes summer school opportunities that are created that can either help students with reading, and that's mainly what our district has done, is more literacy oriented, not necessarily maybe math or other subject areas.
Great. Here's another question. So a few of you mentioned roles, such as coaching, teaching, those kinds of things. Share a little bit more about those. Do people do those roles kind of on top of their regular teaching? Or is that a whole different role through the school districts? Kellie or Elise, would you mind answering that one?
I can take that one. So instructional coaching is working with teachers to help them better their practices. And it is dependent on the district, but most of the time that is a full-time job outside of the classroom.
Okay.
So our district employs several coaches that work with teachers throughout the district, and that is their job. Interventionists, I've seen split their time as a half-time classroom teacher and half-time interventionist, or again, it's their full-time job. I would say most of the time those opportunities take you out of the classroom, but it depends on the district and their setup.
Thank you. I'm sure some folks do. I do know a teacher that I've worked with closely that does a little bit of consulting, on the side with some of that coaching and so forth. So, but you're saying that's good to know, Elise, that's really, maybe would take the place of a full-time job. So here's another question, and Kellie, I'm going to just give this one to you. So are there, I mean, it sounds like there's quite a few opportunities for additional training. Mainly, it sounds like through universities or through the school districts or any other professional development or opportunities that are not necessarily through a university or the school district are really, or are they mostly through those avenues?
They're mostly, I would say, through those avenues. But as Tracy mentioned, there's letters is happening right now across our state, and it's incredible professional development for elementary school teachers, and that is administered by the state, I guess, but it's at each school site. So districts will offer professional development courses that count towards credit. And then we also have district level or school level professional development. And credit varies. It could be relicensure credit. It could be lane change credit. Some of the professional development is paid professional development. And so I feel like in education, as if you're a learner, this is absolutely the best profession. You will have opportunities for so much learning to improve your practice and to improve the impacts for student success.
Thank you. And another quick question. I know some folks, go and start teaching right after college and then maybe stop for a little bit, stop out a little bit to have kids. Is it a profession that you can really jump back into fairly easily?
Yes, and there are, it's basically not getting relicensed, but kind of renewing your license.
Oh, okay.
And the Utah State Board of Education helps with that. And it's, we do see that in this profession. And I think it's great to be able to take a break for any type of reason and be able to step back in.
Thank you. And I would think the school districts and the state are really more flexible even today because we want, there's such a teacher shortage and we want good people there. And especially if they've been trained, from college, you remember a lot of that. Maybe not everything, but you remember a lot of that. One last question from the audience, and then I have a final question before we wrap up. So this question is really kind of a hard one because, especially during COVID and all of the things, there's really been a lot of concerns about even overcrowding, the types of learning, budgets, and some teachers have left. So there's some challenging environments in certain districts and schools and so forth, but you've stayed. And so what is that main thing that keeps you to stay? Elise, would you pick up that?
The kids. I mean, that's like the easiest answer, and I'm seeing nodding. I've never been in another job where I felt like it was as meaningful, or, I mean, there are moments of joy that I don't experience in other jobs. Obviously, it's not every minute of every day. No job is going to be joyful all the time, but I love working with the kids and having them be a huge part of my life, and hopefully I'm making an impact on theirs.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's go with Kellie and then Tracy on that one.
I just want to say that there are challenges in education and that they're not to be ignored, but there's the hope, if you focus on the hope, which are the students and what you can do for them and work towards changing the things that, need to be changed, not ignore them, but really hone in on those students and those relationships and their success and learn from them and let them teach you what you need to be for them. It really is, it's hard to describe, just as Elise was talking to. It's an amazing privilege, I think, to be in the presence of these young people and to be allowed to share so much time with them.
Thank you. You're getting me a little teary-eyed, and I think Tracy just got a little teary-eyed. Tracy, any comment about that?
Oh, it has been some challenging years, and sometimes you're the one buoying people up, and sometimes other people are buoying you up. But I agree wholeheartedly with Elise and Kellie. I think that the kids and their families, you want the very best for every single one of them, and being passionate about what you do, it's important. So anyway, I agree with both of them. And there's challenges, but I think you can be a positive voice and encourage others' voices to talk, to discuss, and to come up with proactive ways of helping out with budget or helping out with student learning deficits. Anyway, I just think all of us working together and communicating, and even if everybody doesn't always see eye to eye, that communication piece is just so important.
Thank you so much. And then lastly, just very quick, because we're almost out of time, but lastly, I mean, if you're thinking about high school young women that are thinking about their careers, what they're going to major in, or early, young women early in college, what would be just one element or two elements? Why would you tell them or encourage them to consider K through 12 teaching as a career? Kellie, and then Tracy, and then we'll end with Elise on this one.
Oh, it's kind of hard to sum up really quick, but I would say, we've talked about the challenges of education. I think there are challenges in every job. And if you're focusing on the positive and solution oriented, this is a place for you. And for me, it's an opportunity to serve. It really is a serving profession and so rewarding. And so I would say it's a great way to serve students, their families, and the communities that they live in.
Thank you. Tracy?
I just think you are needed. Good teachers are so important. So if you're dedicated, passionate, want to make a difference, like a challenge, work well with people, you're organized, you can plan, analyze, think outside the box, collaborate, all those things. If you're flexible, I think you've got to be flexible. Among other things I haven't listed, but I would highly recommend a career in education. There's a village there that it's the most amazing, challenging field that's full of possibilities, and it has been one of the biggest blessings of my life. So,
thank you, Elise.
Very similar for me. It provides a lot of meaning. I know that when I go into work every day, it matters, and sometimes that's a lot of pressure that every single day matters. But it's also, I don't think everyone has the privilege of finding so much meaning in their job, and I feel very lucky to wake up every day and do this.
Thank you so much. Thanks to my guests, Elise, Kellie, and Tracy. And thanks to Denise Call, who works as the production manager for UWLP, for her work specifically on this episode. And thanks again to Utah Education Network for their partnership on this series. And finally, to all of you listening, remember that you have so many career options. And I encourage you to explore all these options, and then also consider your individual interests and passions, your gifts, talents, and strengths. These combined with going to college and having that education can really help you prepare for an engaging and meaningful profession throughout your life. Thanks so much.